go, yo. One time for your mind. You know we ball all day. Just know we talk ball all day. Welcome to the full court press. Full court press. We got Danny Thompson on the mic, so just chill with the set. Ball all day. Just know we talk ball all day. Welcome to the full court press. Full court press. We got Danny Thompson on the mic, so just chill with the set.
Good evening, everybody. It's 9:06 Eastern Time. This is Full Court Press Radio, sponsored by SOFOELLC on the new 96.9 The Game, Orlando Sports Leader. I'm your host, Dave Thompson, checking with you live tonight here in Orlando and nationwide. Our number to call in with us tonight, locally, 407-916-8255, or toll-free, 800-729-8255. You know, every single week, you've never listened to the show before, we're talking with the best and the brightest personalities across the NBA, talking about all your favorite teams and the Orlando Magic as well, too. But I can't do it without my tag team duo, otherwise known as the pick and roll trio, of my main man to the right of me, Paul Myers, who is the executive and editor-in-chief of NBA FCP Radio. Paul, what's going on, my friend?
Man, I'm on fire right now like Paul George. I don't know if you guys see it, but he is busting heads tonight.
Yes, Paul George is going in right now on the Washington Wizards. And also, to the left of us, calling in from the city of Philadelphia, otherwise known as the biggest Sixer fan known to man, our NBA draft expert and social media manager of NBAFCPRadio.com, Mr. Marc Johnson. Marc, how you doing?
I'm good. One thing that I did notice is Kevin Love returning to Minnesota Timberwolves form with the Cavs.
Good point.
Hey, as long as it's not Kevin Love from, I don't know. It's an interesting topic to start the show off with.
Wait a second. Where were you going with that?
You know what? I caught myself in the middle of that one, so I'm not even going to go there with that one. I was going to say UCLA, but he was pretty good at UCLA too, though.
He was.
So, speaking of the Cavs, you know, they played Orlando last night, and Kevin Love just went off last night, 34 points. But here are the two key numbers. 27 points in the first half, and then at one point in the second quarter, he scored 17 straight points in a 5-minute and 20-second stretch. Now, we all talk about, you know, people talk about the LeBron James factor and what about Kyrie Irving. That's not something you get from a third fiddle. Am I right on that one?
Well, that's the thing, is Kevin Love's not a traditional third fiddle. Chris Bosh wasn't a traditional third fiddle. I don't feel like Bosh ever really got into the groove that he could have been. And the Heat, I don't think, I mean, even though they won back-to-back titles, went to 4 straight finals, I don't think they were ever the team they really could have been because Bosh never quite got a hold of that role. I tell you what, man, if Kevin Love plays like this on a consistent basis, Kyrie comes back to be the player that he was, man, the East is in big trouble.
Marc, Kevin Love last night, 11-18 from the floor, 6 of 9 from three-point line. If Kevin Love is shooting like that, does Golden State even stand a chance?
Oh, Golden State's definitely in it. But it would definitely be like a Clash of the Titans type of feel, you know, to me. Because, you know, Cleveland's, you know, the way that they're looking at it is we should have won that title last year. And if we were at full strength, we would have won that title. So I think it's a Clash of the Titans, you know, between those two teams. Other teams, they're trying to get in the race, but it seems like those two teams are really, you know, head and shoulders above, you know, everyone else in their respective conferences. No disrespect to the Spurs, you know, and the Bulls and other teams, but I just think, you know, that's what it's going to end up being.
Paul, what do you think?
Well, I got to agree. I mean, the Warriors are going to be in it. You know, I think for the next couple of years for sure. Now, there's a lot of teams out west that I think they're going to be contending with. I don't think the Warriors are running away with the West for the next couple of years. That's not what I'm saying. I think they're going to have trouble with. I mean, San Antonio is playing very underrated good basketball right now. You know, them. I still think the Clippers. You know, you guys seem to be thinking they're trending down. I still think they're fine. I think they're a playoff built team. A team like the Thunder is going to be scary come playoffs time. I don't. I know that the consensus is the Warriors are going to be back in the Western Conference, or will be back in the NBA Finals representing the West. But I'm not so sure. However, if they are, yeah, I mean, of course they can contend with Cleveland, even with Kevin Love playing this way. I mean, look at what they're doing right now. I mean, it's simple enough. I mean, they're 15-0. It's not even just that Steph Curry's going off. I mean, what did we talk about earlier? They've got 4 guys, I think it is, that are shooting 40% or better from three-point land. That's insane.
And Curry started on the list.
yeah, and that's insane. And then they got not to mention what a 5th, Harrison Barnes is right there under 40
at 38.8.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
And Barbosa's 36.5.
Right, so that's 6 players that are above 35% three-point percentage. That's really good.
Before we go any further with any of the teams, I want to give a shout out to LeBron James. Last night,
absolutely,
becomes the second player in the history of the NBA to be in the top 25 in points and assists for the entire career. Think about it. LeBron's 31 years old, and he's in the top 25 in both assists and points.
Well, it brings up a good point because he's got, 4 or 5 good years left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's getting close to a couple milestones, not necessarily close. He's getting there on 10,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds, 30,000 points. If he's able to pull that off by the time he retires, I think that a case needs to be made of him being the greatest of all time. Now, I'm still not ready to pass that over from Jordan. I still think Jordan's the greatest, and I don't even think it's a discussion. However, if LeBron accomplishes that, I mean, that's amazing.
Mark, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think LeBron can get the 30, 10, and 10 club for his career?
I think he can. And I think if he can, it automatically puts him in the top 5 of all time. Automatic. The question is, for me, can he crack the top 4? And it seems like that is the vaunted list that includes Jordan, Russell, Wilt, and Kareem. Can he get into that conversation past any of those guys? That's a tall order. For me, Wilt, is first. This is not even me being a homer because, he's from Philly. But, I'm just
have to win something.
Wilt just did things that will never be done again by anybody. So I have him first, but I'm just like LeBron. This 30, 10, and 10. I'm like, he's going to be right there, in that mix. And how high can he get on the list after accomplishing that? And I think he can accomplish that. I think those 4 greats, that Mount Rushmore is going to have to make room somewhere. They're going to have to make room, or somebody's falling off it.
We look at LeBron right now, 25, 274 on the point total. He's at 66.02 in rebounds and 63.95 in assists. I mean, basically, if LeBron puts up 500 rebounds and assists over the next 5 years, he's going to be at 30,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists. Just think about that for a second.
Well, yeah, and you include playoffs. You're talking 100 games a year for him. So I don't think that he, as long as he stays relatively healthy, and relatively meaning 70 games a year or so in the regular season, I don't see why he can't get it. If he does, man, I'll tell you that's incredible numbers.
I hope he doesn't. I seriously hope he doesn't.
Right.
What man do you cheer for that walks off on his team? Who quits during the finals?
Oh, here we go.
This man is a coward.
Oh, boy.
He is a coward.
For those who do not know, that is our super producer, Super Chris, in the background, who is the biggest LeBron James fan you're going to find in the building. So,
yeah.
If you think about it, Paul, like you said, if you count the assists, if you count the playoff numbers, LeBron's over 30,000 points right now.
Right.
So he's already hit the 30,000 point mark if you're counting playoffs. If you're counting the rebounds in the playoffs, he is just about he's got 1,558 on rebounds, 1,100 assists.
Okay.
So you're looking at right now, he's at 8,000 rebounds and almost 8,000 assists if you count his playoff numbers. So basically,
I mean, he's there.
He's going to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that's going to happen is maybe a serious Kobe Bryant type of injury that would pretty much derail him. I mean, he's 31. Like Paul said, he's got 4 or 5 good years left. I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, he's Tim Duncan 2.0. He's going to be playing until he's like 75 years old probably. I mean, he's in great shape. I mean,
he is in great shape.
He keeps himself in great physical condition. And if you look at his career, he's only had one season under 60 games. I mean, under 70 games. That was in 11-12, where he played 62 games for Miami.
Right.
He played 69 last year, too. And
so know that Zach Oliver, our Orlando Magic expert, will be talking with us a little bit later. He just chiming in with his typical 3-point basket on that one. Thanks, Zach. We'll get with him in a second because he's got some great stuff to talk about the Magic, especially with Nikolai Vucevic, which I will be getting into in a few minutes on that one. But to check in with us, 407-916-8255 or toll free 800-729-8255. Guys, we were talking about so many different topics. before we go to break, and we'll probably finish up the segment with the Los Angeles Clippers, Paul's favorite team.
Not favorite.
Hey, Paul, this team is imploding in front of the country's eyes right now.
I'm not waving the flag like you guys are. Everyone, it feels like it's a sinking ship. I don't feel that way. I mean, you got Doc Rivers, you got Paul Pierce, who's just really coming back from an injury. J.J. Redick's been hurt. Lance Stevenson has been, I guess, out of shape. I don't know that really surprises anybody. It's Lance Stevenson. But, I mean, you've had a plethora of problems there. I do think that they need to get some consistent minutes going with Josh Smith. I really was wondering what was going on there anyway. So to see that Josh Smith blew up at Doc Rivers, I'm not really surprised. But let's keep in mind, they've got some new personalities on this team from a team that was last year. I mean, they were a bad game or two away from going to the Western Conference Finals and then Finals. So, I mean, I don't feel like that they're in any trouble right now.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Clippers right now. Zach Stevenson played with 6 minutes the other night, and you had this locker room implosion after a game where Josh Smith does absolutely nothing except for rebound. The Clippers are struggling. Chris Paul doesn't like Chris Paul. At one point in time, and Blake Griffin forgot how to rebound. He's having the Amari Stoudemire disease all over again,
right,
where you have these big rebounding numbers your first couple of years, and every single year that your point total goes up, your rebounding total gets worse and worse.
Right.
This team is relying on DeAndre Jordan, who is second in the NBA in rebounds and blocks.
Yeah, he's playing well.
By a wide margin in both categories.
Right, yeah. Hassan Whiteside in blocks and Andre Drummond in rebounds.
Yeah, I think he's down 5 rebounds a game to Drummond and almost 3 blocks a game to Hassan Whiteside.
But Whiteside, I mean, the blocks that kid's putting up right now are insane.
I mean, Whiteside's at almost 5 blocks a game right now. It's just it's crazy numbers. But the Clippers right now, they're just playing terrible basketball. I think the implosion's coming. You could add so many veterans to a team, or like the old saying, you lead a horse to water and can't make them drink. But you can't have a team with your bench being Lance Stevenson, Josh Smith, and Jamal Crawford and expect it to work. I'm sorry. I said it from the beginning. They have the talent, but something means implosion. If they lose tonight to Portland, I think the Doc Rivers –
They don't play Portland tonight.
No, they play Denver tonight. If they lose to Denver tonight, the Doc Rivers watch is on.
That's ridiculous.
It is. I agree. That's insane.
Also, on their bench – their bench was probably their biggest issue last season, and they went and they addressed it. Look, they might have added some controversial personalities in there that might not fit perfectly, but they improved the bench, and that's what they needed to do.
Yeah, but the problem is you're 6-8 right now, and the bench looks terrible.
Well, I mean, how many games? There's 82 games in the season. This is like the same thing with LSU and Les Miles.
Yeah.
Who's going to come in and replace Les Miles and give you 10 wins a season?
I will go and replace Les Miles and give them 10 wins a season.
Mark,
I'm going to call BS on that.
Mark, help me on this one, Mark. You're a Philly guy. You understand about team basketball. They're not playing team basketball. So you're telling me if the Clippers lose to Denver tonight and fall below the Denver Nuggets in the standing line right now.
There's 82 games in a season.
Yeah.
I don't
overreaction.
My thing is, I'm not really so much, focused on, I guess, what's going on the court. I'm focused on the stories I'm hearing off the court. You're having, shouting matches. You're having chairs being thrown in the locker room. The media can't get in to see all this mess. That's the stuff that I'm worried about. And if that continues, and, they're kind of sulking. If you watch a Clippers game and they're not winning, or the game's closer than they think it should be, nobody's cheering the teammates on. Nobody's clapping it up. Nobody's like, oh, yeah, let's get in it. Doc's kind of out of it. He's just coaching. He's not motivating like he usually does. I'm just like, listen, that's not good. That's just not good chemistry they have right now.
So you feel like they're going through the motions
it's a long
then?
Season. I'm quite sure they'll get this together.
Here's the problem.
But there'll be a team that's just like, all right, look, we should have won more games. Now we're like in 6th place or 5th place, and now we have a harder first-round matchup.
Here's the problem. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games right now. Okay, you take away the 91 points that they gave up to Toronto. They only scored 80 in the process. They gave up 91 to Toronto the other night. They gave up 102 points to the Blazers, 124 to the Warriors. They gave up 118 to the Suns and 118 to the Mavericks.
Yeah, they haven't been playing defense at all. I think Mark touched on a really good point. They're going through the motions right now, and that's fine. It's early, as Chris said. I think that us as sports fans,